iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office, it's open, my friends. Oh man, week 14 in the books. What an insane week that we had. I don't even know where to begin. I just don't know where to begin. Things happened this week that I just would never have expected. So let's break it down. Let's see what we have. Let's see how we can help you for week 15. First of all, if you lost this week, I am terribly and unequivocally sorry. I'll mention this. I've been helping my cousin out. She's in a work league. We put up 54 points, I think. And we have Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, Kirk Cousins, Matt Forte, Thomas Rawls. I mean, this is a good team. 54 points. So it happens to the best of us. It does. It happens to the best of us. Some leagues I put up 140. Some leagues I put up 50. It's very hard when this happens, when guys just put up stinkers. And that's the only word I have, stinkers. So let's start from, let's go last in, first out. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. I have never been as impressed with the New York Giants defense since Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks. That's how good this defense looked. Janoris Jenkins, absolutely a cover guy. Absolutely. Romeo Okwara, I don't even know who he is, but I know he played really well. I love watching Landon Collins play. Man, the Giants' offense, on the other hand, really is bad. Really is bad. And the offensive line is a disaster. This Eric Flowers, you know what the word Eric has the word wreck in it. Wreck, because he'll wreck your team. Awful. Eli Manning, 193 yards and a touchdown. Beckham got 94 yards and a touchdown. And I mean, really, you just saw why he's unstoppable. The guy he looked like he was going to be caught 7 times, and he just kept on accelerating and finding another gear. So it was one play. One play from Dallas, the Terrence Williams touchdown. Where were you, Des Bryant, giving somebody 2 points in a fantasy league? That's what I'm talking about. 2 points from Des Bryant. Here we are in the biggest game of the year. Ezekiel Elliott in the biggest game of your season, 10.7 points. You're not winning. You're not winning when Terrence Williams is the best receiver you have. So I feel Dak Prescott, 165 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. I just got off the phone with my friend who was at the Giant game who basically said Dak Prescott did not look very good at all. And he was wondering whether or not Dak was going to get replaced. I was like, really? He goes, it was that bad. So I'm just throwing it out there for you. But Des Bryant, fantasy killer. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. First of all, I want to say to Rex Ryan, you are a buffoon. You are a big buffoon. If you think that your team is losing because of Tyrod Taylor and you would be better off with another quarterback, who was that guy? Cardale Jones? EJ Manuel? Are you kidding me? Please, Tyrod Taylor's not the reason you're losing. The reason you're losing is you don't have enough good skill players. LaShawn McCoy is a star. Sammy Watkins is injured. Robert Woods is okay. Charles Clay's not very good. Your team's not very good. Your defense is all right. I mean, the Browns are good. Preston Brown, Zach Brown, they're pretty good. But when you don't sack Ben Roethlisberger at all, and you can't really throw the football because you don't have great receivers, I don't think it's Tyrod Taylor's fault. Oh, and by the way, how about stopping Le'Veon Bell? 38 carries, 236 yards, and 3 touchdowns. If you own Le'Veon Bell and the Falcons defense, congratulations, you most likely made it to week 15. Antonio Brown, I mean, really, here's another guy. 13.8 points. You've waited all year to get to your fantasy playoffs. You drafted Antonio Brown 1, and this guy gives you 13.8 points? I mean, that's like a 0. You're not winning anything. Seriously, you're not winning anything when that happens. Lev Bell, you're winning. My single biggest regret, I'm looking back at my main event drafts, and I'm not going to blame my partners. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But I can tell you we drafted Beckham at 2, and on the way back, we could have taken Le'Veon Bell. And we didn't. We took a receiver. And retrospectively, I blame myself. I should have fought harder for Le'Veon Bell. Yes, he was out for a few games, but he's still a star. I don't know who we got. I think we got Randall Cobb or something. Randall Cobb or Lev Bell. Please. Biggest mistake I made of the year. I could have Beckham and Brown. Show me some money. Big mistake. Because then the team that picked one took Bell with one of his 2 picks. As well he should have. That was the right move. It was the right move. All right, Denver and Tennessee. Sometimes games work out exactly as you describe. And if you listen to this podcast on Friday, I called this. I mean, I was pretty much dead on. I told you I liked Trevor Siemian. I told you I liked Thomas and Sanders. I told you Justin Forsett was going to have a role. Booker had 3 carries for 1 yard. He wasn't really part of the equation. Trevor Siemian had 334 yards and a touchdown. I told you that DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry were going to run the ball, which they did, to the tune of 136 yards. I told you not to play Mariota in the Tennessee Titans passing game. There you go. Can't do better analysis than that, folks. I tried. That's as good as I can do. The Redskins against the Eagles. I think this was Adam Ronis caught this on our Sirius show last night. There was no time of possession for the Redskins. Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 21 times, but he had 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he barely had the football, but he did a lot when he had it. Carson Wentz had 46 attempts, 314 yards. But a lot of injuries. Darren Sproles got whacked. Wendell Smallwood injured. But Zach Ertz is just a machine. 10 receptions, 112 yards. Jordan Matthews, 8 for 79. And by the way, going back to Washington, did the narrative play work out or not? Did you play Deshaun Jackson? Please tell me you did. 3 receptions, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Once again, can't do better than that, guys. I was wrong. I said it was going to be a 40-yard touchdown, but he only had an 80. My bad. I'll get that right next time. Arizona against Miami. Man, Ryan Tannehill just played Tannehill ACL. And he was just coming into his own too. 15 for 20, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, clicking on all cylinders. But look, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel here. Matt Moore doesn't suck. As backup quarterbacks go, he's okay. He's okay. Arizona, tough loss. David Johnson really didn't do that much for him. I mean, he was okay. He gave you about an 18-point game, but still, you want more from him, the fantasy playoffs. Carson Palmer, 145 yards. By the way, can anybody tell me why they don't put a retractable dome in Miami? Did you see the rain there? It was of biblical proportions. I thought I saw kangaroos followed by snakes, followed by dogs going on an ark. I mean, are you kidding me? Unreal. All right, Carolina and San Diego. I don't know if any of you guys heard our radio shows. We were pretty much on all weekend on Sirius. I told you Greg Olsen was going to have a better week, and he did. 4 for 87. Kelvin Benjamin, this was not his week. Casey Hayward is playing at a very high level. Benjamin was 1 for 11. Cam Newton stinks. I will never draft him ever again in this lifetime. I would rather lose than draft Cam Newton. I will never do it again. I want you to say it with me. I, state your name, Dr. Roto, will never again in my lifetime, ever draft Cam Newton. There you go. Guy stinks. I know no part of it. Phillip Rivers, on the other hand, I'll draft. 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth, keep your eye on the Pharaoh. 16 carries, 55 yards, 6 receptions, 23 yards. Melvin Gordon could be done for a while. We're not sure. We're waiting to hear on the analysis with that, with Melvin Gordon. Right? Waiting to see. Waiting to see what happens. Hopefully he plays, but I don't know. They're 5-8. Everybody's injured. They're done with the playoffs. I'll take a look at Kenneth Farrow, and I'll be okay with that. By the way, I like him as a pickup this week. Cincinnati and Cleveland. Man, Cincinnati, that tie really hurts them. I think they would like to be 6-7 right now instead of 5, 7-1. Big Red Andy Dalton, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremy Hill, just a big week. And Tyler Eifert, we talked about fading up. This guy was a great play this week. Hopefully you had him on your team. I know that I've had him all season. I waited a lot of weeks to use him, and this is why, because in the playoffs he was great. For Cleveland, RG3 stinks. I'd rather have Cody Kessler, and I want no part of him. This guy was garbage, and Hugh Jackson should be ashamed of himself for thinking that it was anything but garbage. And by the way, Terrell Pryor 1 for 3. That's just not going to cut it. That's just not going to cut it. The Detroit Lions get a squeaker out there, 20-17. Jordan Howard doing a very good job, 13 for 86. Cameron Meredith looking good, 6 for 72 and a touchdown. For Detroit, look, it's one of those Detroit box scores. Never looks good. Nobody looks like they did well, but everybody just does a little bit. Matthew Stafford, though, with an injured middle finger, now he can just go around flipping everybody off. And he said, oh, it's my finger, it hurts. But I don't know how deep Detroit's going to go there, but they're playing good football. All right, Houston beats in Indianapolis. This was a shock of all shocks. The Houston Texans, led by Brock Osweiler, 147 yards, no touchdowns. But they ran the ball to the tune of 41 carries for 185 yards. Lamar Miller had 107 yards and a touchdown. I mean, it was a good game plan by Bill O'Brien. Good for him. Andrew Luck did a good job. 276 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the 2 picks hurt. Once again, not using. There was no Dante Moncrief. He was a 0. And T.Y. Hilton's only 1 guy. Where was Dwayne Allen? Nowhere to be found either. So, very hard to watch that. Minnesota against Jacksonville, man. Gus Bradley, I guess they're going to let him go out the next 3 weeks, but really? Just end it. End it. By the way, we gave you the play yesterday about T.J. Yeldon. We said that he was going to be a good start, and he was on DraftKings. 59 yards rushing, 7 receptions, 31 yards. That's points. It ain't pretty, but they're points. Right? Matt Asiata had 37 yards and a touchdown, but he could have had more. He really could have had more. But he had a fumble there. Adam Thielen, 4 for 101. Kyle Rudolph, 60 yards and a touchdown. Very unusual because the Jacksonville Jaguars do not give up. They very rarely give up tight end plays to tight end. Very rarely. But that was pretty impressive. Okay. Speaking of impressive, I need to take some time here to absolutely congratulate the New York Jets. At 14-0 in the first quarter, I was sure, I was inches from tweeting out, the Jets suck, I can't watch this. But that they came back and won that game is a testament to this team and to Bryce Petty. This team does not win this game with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I kid you not. I think they needed the youthful exuberance of Robbie Anderson and Bryce Petty to get it done. But Bilal Powell, on that last play in the overtime, when they called the penalty, he didn't stop playing. He scored the touchdown. Good for Powell. It was a very heads-up play by a very good player. Matt Forte, I think he may be done for the year. They're talking about cracking and popping in his knee. Cracking and popping. 2 words I want to see with Rice Krispies, but not with a player's knee. So Bilal Powell is a virtual must-start for me in any format. I'm telling you right now, next week, here, let me do the pen click. I might have Bilal Powell and Kenneth Farrow on my DFS lineups. Yeah, I'm not joking. I know that sounds disgusting. I'm just saying. Robbie Anderson, 11 targets. Just throwing that out there. For San Francisco, Chip Kelly, I'd fire you. See, here's the problem with Chip Kelly. If this was in college and he was coaching Oregon, he would have put up 82 points. But here, his team let up, and they lost. Colin Kaepernick, 133 yards and a touchdown. Carlos Hyde, 193 yards rushing. Curley, 50 yards. But come on. Come on, guys. You got to do better than that. Tampa Bay against the Saints. Did you have the score 16-11? Because if you didn't, congratulations. You just won the office pool. Jameis Winston goes up against the Saints. He has the Saints twice in the last 3 weeks in the playoffs. He puts up 184 yards. Are you kidding me? Drew Brees, 257 yards and 3 interceptions. That's like 6 interceptions in the last 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? Mark Ingram, 14 yards. Mike Thomas doesn't even play. Mike Evans, 4 for 42. Where were the fantasy points in this game? Cameron Brate, 4 for 47. He was their leading receiver. for the Buccaneers. Willie Snead, 6 for 85. Remember this quote. Snead better on the road. Snead better on the road. And I'll tell you this, I might like Snead next week too. Where are they playing? At Arizona? I think I like them. Because Brandon Cooks is going to see a little bit of Patrick Peterson. I don't think Snead will, or Thomas will. I think Snead will be open. Once again, Snead on the road. That's the play. But I'm proud of the Buccaneers. I'm very proud of them. They played well, and they're doing an excellent job. And speaking of excellent job, the Atlanta Falcons surprising me this year, 42-14 over a middle school team known as the Los Angeles Rams. And let me tell you this. When Todd Gurley is throwing you under the bus and he's saying that you look like a middle school offense, right? When he's saying that, what does that tell you? Right? Just come up, show up, play. That's why we play this game, right? But there's no effort. A middle school offense. That's awful. And he's right. By the way, Todd Gurley had one of his best games of the year. He had 61 yards and a touchdown, 3 receptions. But why is it that Kenny Britt does nothing all game long except for like the last 5 minutes of the game? And it looks like the Rams are not getting any better. I really believe that. I think Jeff Fisher needs to get fired. For Atlanta, kudos to Atlanta. No Julio Jones, no problem. Tevin Coleman looks like he was shot out of a cannon. 8 for 36 and a touchdown. He looked like, boom, when that touchdown run, go watch that back. He looked great. Taylor Gabriel played well. Should have been in all your fantasy DFS lineups. Should have been. And finally, Green Bay against Seattle. Green Bay 38-10. Ty Montgomery 9 for 41 and a touchdown. Michael 10 for 36. Jeff Janis with a touchdown. But I am absolutely worried about Aaron Rodgers. He had 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. Devontae Adams had 104 yards and a touchdown. Jordy had 6 for 41 and 2 touchdowns. But Rodgers has a hamstring injury and he has a calf injury. So watch that closely. And next week, I do not like the matchup. Green Bay has Chicago and Minnesota the next 2 weeks. I don't know if I want to be owning Aaron Rodgers. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I think it's going to be rough weeks for him. I think 246 and 1 or 2 is going to be a lot. So hopefully you have depth. For Seattle, Russell Wilson had 5 interceptions. That is unforgivable. 5 interceptions. Where was Jimmy Graham? 1 for 16? I mean, are you kidding me? Where was Jimmy Graham? Doug Baldwin, 6 for 46, and he looked wide open on that throw that Russell Wilson tried to get him there. He was wide open, and then there was a great play by the Packers secondary. It was a really great play. I got to give him credit for that one. So I don't remember who had that interception, whether it was Randall or Burnett. Randall had 2. Just some good play there. All right, so let's talk about tonight. I love tonight's game. Love tonight's game for fantasy purposes. You cannot run on the Baltimore Ravens. You cannot run on the Ravens. I think Tom Brady will be throwing all night long. I'm watching Mike and the Mad Dog this morning. No, wrong show. Mike and Mike this morning at the gym. They're all picking Baltimore. Don't believe it for a second. New England's winning this game. Tom Brady's throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's going to throw to Mitchell. He's going to throw to Edelman. He's going to throw to Hogan. He's going to throw to White. He's going to throw to Lewis. He's going to throw to everybody in the state of Massachusetts. Get them all in your lineups. Get Gostkowski in your lineup. Get them all in your lineups. For Baltimore, I think Baltimore's going to have to play well enough to keep it close, and Baltimore always does keep it close against New England. Joe Flacco will have close to 300 yards. Terrence West will be okay, not great. Steve Smith will be fine. Dennis Pitta has another touchdown tonight. Mike Wallace will play well. Trust me, this will be a high-scoring, high-octane game. You want to be an owner of it. Okay, also, if you go to scoutfantasy.com and you become a premium member, you'll be able to see my prescription notes. What were some of my notes before? Right here, what were some of my notes that you need to know to go into Week 15? You could find that at scoutfantasy.com. Enter promo code ROTO, that's ROTO. You pay for 1 month, we'll get you 2 more for free. We'll take you through the fantasy season, the playoff fantasy football, and even into baseball. That's how good we are. All right, guys, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast, and remember, be a member of the Scout Army. Get all the information you need. We'll be in the premium forums answering your questions before game time tonight. We want to help you win a fantasy football championship. We're close. We'll get you there. All right, enjoy the game tonight. It should be great. If you need to win, I hope you do, and we'll be back talking tomorrow. So be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!